welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a really fascinating look under the hood of the everyday.
Yeah, specifically focusing on these routines from Emma and Jake over at English Podcast Studio.
Exactly. So our mission really is to explore how they go about their days. From the moment the alarm goes off, right through the lights out.
And see what pops out. Any interesting patterns, maybe personal touches, things that might spark ideas for us too.
Right. Because we've got this, well, incredibly detailed account, haven't we?
We do. It covers weekdays, weekends. It's pretty granular.
Which is great because it means we can go beyond just like listing stuff.
And start to understand how they do things, maybe even why they have these particular habits.
Yeah, exactly. So this isn't just a recap. We're digging into the familiar stuff
Yeah.
to see if we can find some, well, surprising insights.
Definitely. About how different people structure their time, what their priorities seem to be.
Okay, so where should we start? Morning routine.
Makes sense. Let's kick things off there.
All right, so waking up, there's a slight difference straight away, isn't
Yeah, just a little bit. Emma's usually up around 7 a.m.
there? Okay.
And Jake, he's a bit earlier, about 6:30 a.m.
Doesn't sound like much, but that half hour.
Well, it can really set the tone, can it, for those first few hours?
Yeah, you wonder how that shapes his morning, that extra time.
And then, after the alarm, what's next?
Well, seems like the phone is the first port of call for both. The universal habit.
Huh, seems like it. Then Jake does some stretching.
Oh, interesting. Like a conscious thing to get the body moving.
Seems that way. Then it's, the usual bathroom trip for both of them.
Right, but then their hygiene routines kind of diverge a bit.
They do. Jake goes straight for brushing teeth, washing his face.
Okay.
Emma. She opts for a quick shower. Though, interestingly, she sometimes waits until after yoga.
So she fits yoga into the morning sometimes.
Yeah, which suggests it's quite deliberately placed in her routine. It kind of makes you think, doesn't it? How do you sequence your own morning? What's first?
Good question. Okay, breakfast. Here's where we see some real differences.
Definitely. Emma's often having, toast and coffee, maybe eggs if she's got more time, sort of later fare.
And Jake?
He seems to go for quicker options, oats, maybe a smoothie.
And where they eat is different too, right?
Yeah. Jake's often at his desk, maybe trying to get a head start.
Could be. Whereas Emma sits by the window. Sounds a bit more relaxed.
It does. It really shows how even something basic like breakfast, well, it reflects different needs, fuel, mindset, pace.
Totally.
Right.
These small choices tell you a lot about their overall approach, efficiency versus maybe a slower start.
Exactly. And then getting ready, clothes. Emma's all about comfort.
Yeah.
Jake, though, sometimes plans his outfit the night before.
Thinking ahead. Maybe if he has meetings or something.
Probably. Needs to look a bit more formal, perhaps.
And what about their bags? What are they carrying?
Oh, the usual suspects first. Wallet, phone, keys, the essentials.
Right.
But then the work stuff comes out. Laptop, charger, notebook. Jake even mentioned snacks.
Huh. It's like their whole professional life in a bag.
Pretty much. And the commute, another point of contrast.
How so?
Emma takes the bus, listens to music, kind of creates her own little bubble, maybe, downtime before work.
Okay, yeah. And Jake?
He drives, and he's actively using the time, catching up on news, listening to language learning podcasts.
Wow. So very different uses of that commute time. Passive enjoyment versus active learning.
Exactly. Emma sounds like a bit of a retreat. Jake's is almost like an extension of his learning goals.
Right. Then they get to work. Even the first thing they do is different.
Yeah. Jake grabs coffee first, then hits the emails. Needs that caffeine boost, maybe.
Could be. Emma goes straight for her to-do list or planning the day. More structured from the get-go, perhaps.
And that little detail, Jake uses a digital planner, Emma uses a notebook.
Classic digital versus analog. Different organizational styles right there.
Yeah, it just highlights again, doesn't it? Even in the same situation, starting work, people have really different ways of getting set up.
Okay, so they're at their desks. What does the actual workday look like?
Well, it kicks off with emails for both, the inbox challenge.
Tell me about it. Then meetings. Seems unavoidable.
Yeah, they both mention meetings vary a lot. Length, usefulness.
Right.
Emma uses note-taking to stay focused, remember things.
The strategy.
Jake seems to prefer shorter, more focused ones, maybe values efficiency, less disruption.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's always a balance, isn't it? Collaboration versus focus time.
Definitely. And they both use chat tools like Slack or Teams. Pretty standard for teamwork these days.
Okay. What about breaks? Do they take them?
Yes, and this is good to see. Both seem to prioritize short breaks pretty regularly, like hourly.
Oh, really? What do they do?
Just get up, walk around a bit, grab water, maybe a small snack.
That's so important. Those little pauses make a big difference to energy levels.
Absolutely. Now, lunchtime, more insights here.
Go on.
Emma often eats with colleagues, sometimes brings lunch, sometimes buys it, seems to value that social connection at work. Jake usually packs a sandwich, maybe for efficiency, or just likes sandwiches.
Yeah.
But they both seem to enjoy the social side, chatting about random stuff, not just work.
That's nice. How long do they take?
Slightly different. Emma mentions an hour, Jake maybe 45 minutes. Can be company culture, could be personal choice.
Mm-hmm. And they both mention the dreaded post-lunch slump.
Oh, yeah. And the coffee needed to fight it. Very relatable.
Definitely is. Okay, so after lunch, back to work.
Yep, the afternoon focus time. For Jake, it's often design work. He says it's creative, but also quite demanding.
Right.
Emma is often writing reports in the afternoon.
And interruptions. Are they a problem?
They both mention them, yeah. Calls, messages, the usual stuff.
And Emma has a tactic for that.
Yeah, she tries to turn off notifications sometimes, which is, such a practical tip for deep work.
It really is. How many of us could use that?
Yeah.
Minimizing those distractions is key.
So true. And then the end of the workday, around 5:30 p.m. for both.
Seems like it. And they feel tired, but kind of satisfied.
Yeah, that feeling of accomplishment. Day done.
Okay, workday's over. Let's move into the evening. Weekday evenings, what are they like?
Well, straight after work, Emma often goes for a walk.
Oh, nice. Like
Yeah.
a transition period.
Seems like it, yeah. Decompressing before getting home, Jake drives straight home.
And their commute home vibes, still different.
Yep. Emma's back to music. Jake often listens to podcasts again, still using that time differently.
Interesting consistency there. They get home around 6, 6:3.
Yeah, about then. Dinner time follows.
What's for dinner usually?
Quite varied. Emma often cooks something simple herself, like pasta. Sometimes eats alone, sometimes with her roommate.
Yeah.
Jake sometimes cooks, sometimes orders food, and usually eats with his family.
So different household setups influencing things there.
Definitely. Then after dinner, it's unwind time.
How do they relax?
Cleaning up seems to be the first step for both. Then Emma might be on the sofa, maybe watching TV or scrolling her phone.
Okay, passive relaxing.
Yeah. Jake often prefers watching movies. Mention comedies specifically.
Even movie choice gives a little clue.
It does. Then later in the evening, say around 9 p.m., they start properly winding down.
How so?
Reading before bed is a big one for Jake. Says it helps him sleep.
Does Emma read too?
Sometimes, but maybe only if she's not feeling super tired. Jake also makes a point of avoiding screens before bed.
Oh, classic sleep hygiene advice. Good habit.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about the next day starts to creep in.
Planning time.
Yeah, Jake makes his to-do list at night, maybe to clear his head.
Could be. Emma prefers doing hers in the morning.
And Jake sets 2 alarms.
Huh. The safety net. I think many of us do that.
Totally. Bedtime is around 10:30 or 11 p.m. for both.
And they seem aware of sleep quality.
Yeah, they both mentioned trying things like calming music or breathing exercises. It really shows they value good sleep.
Which is crucial, right? For everything else.
Absolutely.
Okay, so weekdays seem pretty structured, even with the variations. What about weekends? When things loosen up a bit.
Yeah, the biggest change. Sleeping longer, no alarm. That's the dream, right?
Yeah. The best feeling. And favorite weekend activities.
Different again. Emma loves going to a cafe, reading. Seems quite solitary, peaceful.
Yeah, nice quiet time.
Jake prefers being outdoors, walking in the park, sometimes alone with music, sometimes with friends.
So different ways of recharging. Emma, indoors, quiet. Jake, outdoors, active.
Exactly. But, real life intrudes even on weekends. Chores.
Ah, yes. Can't escape those.
Saturday morning seems to be cleaning time for both, often with music playing, windows open, making it a bit more pleasant.
Making the best of it.
Yeah. Laundry, grocery shopping too often Sunday afternoon, getting ready for the week.
Standard weekend stuff. What about cooking?
Seems more leisurely on weekends. Emma mentioned trying new recipes from YouTube, more experimental.
Fun.
And Jake told a funny story about trying to make pancakes. Captures that relaxed weekend vibe.
Definitely. And connecting with people. Was that a weekend thing?
Very much so. Jake has regular Sunday calls with family. Emma video calls her mom, shares her week, gets advice.
Maintaining those connections. Important.
Yeah. And more socializing too. Coffee or movies with friends, game nights, cards, board games, dinner out. Lots of chatting and laughter mentioned.
Sounds like good fun. Did they ever get away?
Sometimes. Short trips seem common. Day trips for Jake beach or hills. Emma might take a train to a nearby town.
Little escapes, change of scenery.
Yeah, exploring new places. And then, as the weekend ends,
Winding down again.
yeah, but maybe a bit more intentionally. Lighting a candle, quiet time, soft music. Emma mentioned meditation or prayer, Jake reading or writing.
Setting a calm tone for Monday. A gentle transition.
Exactly. It's interesting how they both seem to prioritize that.
It really is fascinating seeing how these routines, weekdays, weekends, they're just so tied to who they are, their preferences. So maybe let's dig into some of the underlying habits or perspectives, the things driving these routines.
Yeah, okay. Like morning motivation. Emma uses energetic music. Get pumped up, maybe.
Right. Well, Jake prefers inspiring reads. More intellectual stimulation.
Seems like it. And their planning styles, we touch on this. Emma plans the night before.
Feeling prepared for the morning.
Yeah. Jake plans in the morning, maybe allows for more flexibility based on how he feels that day.
Could be. And the tools, again, digital versus notebook. But the core idea of using checklists, tracking progress.
That seems shared. A common strategy for staying organized, feeling motivated.
And stress management. That's a big one. How do they handle it?
They both have strategies. Jake uses breathing exercises, quick walks, things you can do right in the moment.
Very practical.
Emma finds being in nature helps her unwind. A different approach, but still proactive.
It's a good reminder for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
To actually build those things into our routines.
Definitely essential for well-being. Now, given what they do, language learning comes up a lot.
Right. And it's not just their job, is it? They seem to actively practice themselves.
Totally. Speaking aloud, repeating dialogues, reading aloud, these are woven into their days.
Using online partners, focusing on consistency, it shows real dedication.
And their insights on public speaking were great too.
Yeah, especially coming from them. They acknowledge the nerves, right?
Yeah.
Fear of judgment, forgetting lines.
Totally normal stuff. But their emphasis is on practice, rehearsing aloud, even using a mirror. Preparation is key.
And embracing mistakes, not aiming for perfection.
Exactly. And using key points, not a full script, allows for more improvisation, sounds more natural.
Yeah, they even talked about handling laughter if something goes wrong, shows experience.
And they gave some really specific language learning tips too, didn't they?
Yeah, like repeating lines from TV shows, using subtitles, then turning them off.
Setting small daily goals, new words, speaking time, collecting favorite words like wander or breeze.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Me too. And practical advice like asking fast speakers to slow down or listening for keywords.
Recording yourself, English bedtime routines, even dreaming in English.
Yeah. Describing rooms for practice, lots of concrete ideas.
So the overall message seems to be just speak. Don't worry about mistakes.
Pretty much. Speak without fear. Mistakes are learning. Fluency comes with practice. Be consistent and try to enjoy it.
Great takeaways. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Emma and Jake's lives, what are the main themes you're seeing?
Well, a few things really stand out for me. First, that balance, that sort of dance between routine and flexibility. They have structure, but they adapt. Weekdays versus weekends shows that clearly. Second, just how personal it all is. Their preferences, their choices, from breakfast to how they unwind, it's so individual.
Right.
And third, especially for anyone interested in, say, language learning or self-improvement, how they deliberately weave that learning into the everyday. That's quite inspiring, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I was also struck by the similarities, despite the differences, like valuing breaks at work.
The post-lunch slump.
Exactly, that universal feeling. And the importance of connecting with people, family, friends, especially weekends. Those shared things really ground it all.
Which leads nicely to a question for you listening in. As you've heard about Emma and Jake's days, what parts resonated with you? With your own life? And maybe, are there any habits, any perspectives they talked about that you might think about trying yourself?
It's a really good prompt for reflection, isn't it? Just shows that even in the normal day-to-day stuff, there's always room to learn, to adjust, maybe find new ways to, well, navigate it all.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.